Okay, welcome everyone. This is a wonderful one. This is Mother's Day, so a little bit of a tribute to Mother's Day. This is Power Dreams Cherish meeting. We are a domestic violence support group, and we come to you in many ways and many facets. We're welcoming our virtual audience as well, and we thank you for joining us on this rainy day. So we do understand, and first of all, for those who are not used to us, Power Dreams Sisters Helping Sisters Ministries, a nonprofit organization. We are an awareness against domestic violence, but also in a way that we can share it with you spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, and verbally, and any of the other 12 that might come up as well. And it's always somebody, it's not just you, it could be other people in your family, friends, you never know who can affect. Today, I also want to make sure that we've been around for 17 years, and I just thought I would just bring it to your attention that in 2024, we were blessed to have 123 attendees for these meetings that we have for support. We've had 17 guest speakers. We've had 13 meetings. And then we've had 7 Cherish, the meetings that you're at right now, last year. We had 3 women's forums, we had 3 everyday brother panels, and we had our wonderful annual black tie event. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And today, we are very honored to have with us. She is a woman of many facets, I may say. You might be modest, but I've known you for a long time. And so our paths are crossed because of what we do in the arts and life. And so I thought we'd be very honored to see her path from where she have been and where she has come, and the strength that God has given her to proceed on, because anybody can do it. And on the other reason that I really wanted her to come too, because we are trying to take time. We need to reach out to our young sisters, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need to make sure our young sisters come to the meeting. Our young sisters at least go and look at the virtual and see what we're doing and addressing the things that they are scared to talk about in domestic violence. I don't know if they were partners with a verbal problem, a physical problem, an emotional problem, whatever it is, they need to know how to talk to somebody or where to go to get help. So the people that we have to come in as our guests, they usually are somebody that's been through something that can tell you how they got through the process. Mm-hmm. And last time, you remember what it was a process, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And we have faith in the process. Mm-hmm. So may I welcome you, Dr. Gwendolyn Hayes.
Thank you so much, Brenda, and the tribe here that I'm a part of now. Thank you. I'll just claim that. Thank you so much, and I'm just blessed to be here. I am blessed to celebrate the month of mothers with you, however it is, whether we're remembering and holding on to those beautiful memories, or we're right in the middle of it, or we're celebrating grandparents, or however it is. And if you haven't been a mother, you've been mothering, and I'm celebrating you as well. So thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. I am coming from a different way. We have this breaking the cycle. And most of my life, adult life, I've been a single parent, even though I've been married, but I've been a single parent. Most of my journey was single parenting. And so where I'm coming from is the journey from a single mother's view, okay? And the cool thing is, like, Mother's Day, I had a great mother. She passed away in 2016, Viola Washington, and just beautiful lady, inspired me in the best cheerleader a middle child could have. And then my father, of course, he was really great, Harold Washington, and he actually, the cool thing is, he got me up for church. He taught me how to pray. And one of the things he did, which probably gets me in trouble to this day, is that he told me, you need to speak up always. You have something to say, and someone's there and they need to hear it. So do it correctly. And so I took that and tap danced with it through my life. Sometimes over here and sometimes over there, but I always would speak up. And today, I wanted to kind of focus pretty much on verbal abuse. We have verbal abuse not in just relationships. We have it in church. We have it in the workplace. Where our kids are talking back to us. We've got grandparents being abused. Just all different kind of ways. That verbal lip, that lip, can get everybody in trouble, and it can really hurt. And I grew up with my parents not arguing. And one of the things I tried to model is not to argue with my brothers and sisters, because all the siblings they had, we never observed them arguing with their brothers and sisters. And so I promised that to myself. That was a commitment I wanted to do. And no physical abuse. I think Dad gave me 3 whoopings, and there was really smacks, And so, what'd you do? What you looking at, boy, for? You supposed to be driving, so something like that. But they were just genuine like that. We got the switch. I got the switch with the leaf on the end for Mom. I don't have a problem with that. I know it did me well. But no abuse was going on, and no verbal abuse definitely wasn't. We were supposed to learn how to talk to people. We needed to do that, and we definitely needed to respect our elders all the time. And I remember my father took me one time to apologize to someone. You need to apologize because that is an adult, because you did not speak the right tone to her. And so I never, I didn't, my goal was not to talk bad. And so I tried that. Another goal pertaining to almost getting ready to be a mother, I was in high school, and my goal was to get through high school without getting pregnant. That was my goal. I saw too many young people dealing with pregnancy, getting abortions, and didn't even know how they work. 6th grader getting pregnant. It's just so many things that I just said, I just need to hold off on that. And the other reason why I wanted to hold off on it is because I remember there was Planned Parenthood back then, and my father was a minister, and there was no way somebody was going to tell him I was going to walk to Planned Parenthood and you saw Sister Gwen over going to Planned. That wasn't going to happen. So that was another way of, I was abstinent, let's put it that way. But lo and behold, I think there was something about this one smile. Somebody came into my life when I was not quite 18. Wow. Just a smile. And he just did it for me. And I ended up creating a song about him, a little bit about him. But the day I met your smile, it was me for you. The things you said, the things you did, had me writing love songs to you. We had that good loving, but you couldn't see it. And baby, you couldn't be down with my heart. Anyway, that was from that smile. Just from a smile. That's all from a smile. That did that for me.
Not a kiss, but a smile.
Not a kiss, wasn't a smile. And so it was funny because I still thought about speaking up. So I spoke up and let him know how I felt. And so we started dating. And I didn't know anything too much about his background. And he said, my mom wants me to come over for dinner, and he wants me to bring you. I'm thinking, oh, I'm so impressed. I'm not even 18 yet, My mom wants me to come over. So I told my parents, and I was able to go over. And I got there, and I'm sitting there, and there were 2 gentlemen in suits sitting there, and they said, well, hello, who are you? And I said, well, my name is Gwendolyn. That's my boyfriend. And he says, well, what faith are your parents? And I said, well, my father's a Baptist minister, and, we go to church down the way. Don't you believe in the truth? They were Jehovah's Witnesses. I stood my size 9 self up and said, don't you ever say nothing about my parents. Don't you ever say nothing about my faith. So that was that other speak out kind of thing. They didn't get me in trouble, but, I needed to speak out. But I said the next time I could think about speaking out was probably when someone called me the B word. And I said, last time, and mouth started again, this mouth of mine, Daddy said, speak up. I said, the last time I checked, my name was not Gwendolyn Rochelle B. Washington Hayes, okay? It was not. And so that shut it off real quick, but that's speaking. But I ended up falling in love and staying in love and wanted to get married and got married and ended up having beautiful babies, and you'll see them in the pictures up here. We promised each other in high school that we would name our children after us, Gwendolyn and Milan, and we named them Gwendolyn Milan, and so we did that. And between all that, I'm still loving him and thinking, I go to church and my love can cure anything that he had in his past. And so all the abuse, and unfortunately the abuse from like mama's boyfriend and different things like that, took him on the win. He didn't touch me, a physical touch me, but boy, he wanted to have some lip. And I said, don't you talk to me like that. You can't use the phone. Ohio Bell back then. Ohio Bell. My sisters live in Cleveland. I'm going to call my sisters. You can't use the charge card. I'm going to use the O'Neill's card if I want to. If I had an O'Neill's card before I married you. So that lip, I tell you, it didn't get any better.
That tongue.
That tongue, I'm telling you. And I remember one of the women ministers, Joyce Myers, had a book called "Is My Tongue Saved Too?"
Me and my big
Is
mouth.
my tongue saved too? Yes. Sometimes that lip would get in there.
Yep.
So we had the children, but it didn't get very much better because alcohol and drugs and different things from the atmosphere, in his past atmosphere, came in. He loved his children, but he still had some things that he was dealing with. And I, was determined, like, we don't need to be doing this. We don't need to be I'm not going to be doing this stuff. And one day, when my children were only, my daughter was only 2 months old, 15 police cars came to the house. And I'm thinking, what did he do now? What did he do? They arrested him. They beat him before they called it police brutality. And he ended up, they kicked him in his C5 vertebrae, and he was a quadriplegic at age 25.
Oh, wow.
Now, I was in shock. I was like, not to do. Now, I know we had things going on, and I never wished anything harmful to him, but I know I was in shock. I was in shock. But the love of my family, they were so supportive. They're like, this is our grandchildren's father. We need to check on him. So you need to have people check on you, no matter what you're going through. So they checked on him. We were at the hospital, and I stayed at the hospital after I spoke out and cussed him out a few times, and then I went up and I was okay. I need to pray with you. I need to read you scriptures, and I need to help you eat, because you got to get better, because you got little babies that are waiting for you. And so I did that. At that time, I feel like it had to be God, because I was still mad. But somehow I just kept going. I went to the hospital and went through therapy with him for probably 8 months. With all the other commotion going on in the atmosphere of the environment and his family, I stayed there to try to take care of him so that our babies could see him okay. And I remember my 4-year-old said, "Mommy, Daddy left and now he can't walk." And that still sticks to me, that he couldn't understand that. But what I decided, I told his family, I got to go. I got to go raise these children. And that was that whole verbal thing. How dare you leave the family? You're leaving him. He had some other things going on, crime. But I need to go raise these children. And I needed to put a protective motive. To me, I didn't know what it was then, but it was almost like I had a football helmet on. I need to protect these children and get them out of here. Because I knew there was more coming. I knew there was more. And so I did. I relocated. And I had these little babies. And my mom was like, who's going to babysit? I don't know. Who's going to babysit? I moved to Twinsburg. And I was in Twinsburg, and there was a lady there, a little Indian lady, and she prayed for me. And she said, I'm going to pray your bondage away, all of it away, so you can take care of these babies and raise them and be fine. And I felt her prayer all through my whole system that day. And I said a good word. I spoke up and said, thank you. So I called my mom, and I said, Mom, if I hit the lottery, I'm moving to Kent. She's like, what? I said, if I hit the number, Mom, I'm going to Kent. I want to go to college. She goes, well, I scratched off enough to get me first month, last month, whatever, deposit, and I moved to Kent. Me and 2 little cubs, as I called them back then. I knew I wanted to go to school. I didn't know anything about even applying at that time. But somehow, I knew no one in the city of Kent. But in the same building that I lived in, the woman who prayed for me, she had a friend who lived in that building. And that person, I came home from work one day and it was a financial aid papers underneath the door. She said, "You want to go to college?" So that's how my college began. My children said, "Mommy, why isn't Daddy with us?" I said, "Mommy's got some things to do, and Daddy would be in the way right now, but we're going to do this." I promised myself, and I kept that promise, and they're in their 40s now. I kept that promise that I would not talk negative about their father. I would not do that. I wanted to uplift and have them know that when they become adult, they can get that relationship, but I was not going to down anybody that I knew those children were growing out of love. You know, so this thing here, let me tell you about something. I got a call because I got an apartment. They told me the apartment would be ready in Kent. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I got an apartment. It's just going to be all of us. And I was thinking that they told me, come look at it and you probably get the key that day. And I'm thinking, okay. So I'm excited. The kids are in daycare and kindergarten or whatever ages they were in. And I got to the apartment and and there's a picture of me and the kids up there. There's a brick wall that was in the back of the apartment. I'm like, I'm going in. I'm nervous because this is our first time, I left home, got married, and, then this. And she said, okay, you can walk around, 2 bedrooms, and, enough for your children small enough they can be in the same room, and da-da-da-da. I'm thinking, okay, so it's like, so I saw something. And I said, Gwen, don't speak out. Just go on and get the apartment. Just keep your mouth closed. We walked in the kitchen, and I saw the ugliest yellow, mustard yellow refrigerator in this kitchen. It was the ugliest. And I said, oh my gosh, it's so ugly. And I'm thinking, I can't tell this woman because I need this apartment for my babies. Be quiet, Gwen. Don't use your lip this time. But right beside it was a dark brown stove. I'm like, oh, they don't even match. Because I just came straight from my family's home and everything was coordinated, okay? And I had never seen 2 different colored, and I couldn't keep my mouth closed. And I said, aren't they supposed to match? The stove and the refrigerator? And that lip, right? And that was the first time someone that wasn't in my family said, do you want the apartment or not? And I had to hush for a minute because I knew I needed that apartment. But I did not like how her tone was. But I said, I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to learn from this. And I did. And I was there. And what happened was my children had gone to elementary school and then getting ready to go to middle school. And they had those standardized tests they were beginning where they were testing our children and they had to pass. And there was a newspaper article that said, African American children will be failing this. They will all fail. They are not doing well with this exam. And I cut that article out and I put it on the ugly refrigerator. And when my children finished those exams and they excelled at them, I put them on the ugly refrigerator. Next thing you know, the ugly refrigerator wasn't ugly anymore. I used it as awards and everything was up there. And it was just every time you walk by, somebody was getting complimented or celebrated. So that was my story of that yellow refrigerator in my mouth. But it worked out. So after that, I decided I'm going to school. I got my degree. I'm getting ready to get a degree. Folk were saying, what you going to school for? Actually, I'm not sure. I just know I want to help people. What you mean you're going to school and it was always negative? What do you mean you're going to school and you don't know what you're going to do yet? Well, once I take some classes, the advisor said, I'll probably get a kick in and know what I want to do. Why are you wasting money? You could be a doctor by now. All negative stuff, except for my family. Don't tell me, get me wrong. My family was the cheerleaders. They were the great cheerleaders. But people from out, and even relatives, distant relatives, why are you doing that? Why can't you just go to the mill and work? What you got to go up there to go to school for? Well, it's just me and these babies, and I want to let them know that this can be possible. And I believe that because my parents were always a cheerleader for us going to school. Neither one of them finished school in West Virginia. And it was all about education, whatever we can do. And they always praised us and celebrated us. And why am I not supposed to do this with my next generation? So we spent a whole lot of time up at Kent State University. Those babies, they were moving in that elevator with those at the library, 13 floors. Here, Gwendolyn, I call her Chachi. Instead of Gwen because she got my name. Here, Chachi, go to the 7th floor and look up this article. But go on, Milan, go. And so you're gonna need to be used to this one day. So just go and do it. And they did. And they felt very comfortable in the college. So we did that. And then we wanted to visit a church. I said, I need to get them in a church somewhere close. I want them to be somewhere where maybe they see some children that they go to school with, you know. I don't know anybody here, but we're going to go. So we went to visit a few churches, went to this one church, and our family grew up in a lot of churches, so in one church, but we visited a lot of churches, so I sensed some different things. So we went to this one church, and I told the children, well, they might be dancing in here. We're just not sure, but they may be dancing. So we go in, and someone's saying, you got your dancing shoes on? You know, and they're doing all my kids are looking, you know, and I said, it's okay. So we sit there, we're fine. Next thing you know, the communion comes around. Now, they had been baptized in Twinsburg, and so they knew what communion was. So it's coming around, so my son gets one and goes, and I tasted it, and I knew it wasn't grape juice. and he goes, this doesn't taste like this juice, Mom. Is this alcohol, Mom? And I said, well, it's just probably, I don't want to drink alcohol. Right, one of these, right, a little shot glass, right? And then my daughter, I think I got a headache. So anyway, mommy's to the rescue. It's going to be fine. It's what's in the cup doesn't matter. You're going to be blessed. Okay, so we got through that. So it was just like these interesting things that happened. We joined a church in Kent, which was amazing. It gave them the opportunity to volunteer, learn how to get along with people, and it blessed them. And I was glad that because first I was thinking, oh my gosh, this little church. Mom, I said, there's only, and I love to sing, Mom, there's only 5 people in the choir. And my mom said, when you join, it'll be 6. She didn't always have a whole lot to say, but when she said it, when you join, there'll be 6. So we spent time there. They blessed them. They gave them money for college. When my daughter wanted to go to Spain, they said, we're going to pass around a plate to help her go to Spain. When my son went off to college, I was like, we were pitiful because it was just us 3 crying pitifully because brother was leaving. Like, what have I done wrong as a single mother that he's leaving me and going to North Carolina? I can't understand that. There's colleges all around here. And he said, Mom, I love the school. And it was only 1,800 students. I love it, and guess what? And he made me a CD that says, God's going to be with me wherever I go, Mom. And that's my son speaking. So I'm grateful that something from some generations popped over, so he knew already that God was going to be wherever he was going. Daughter went to Spain, getting ready to go to Spain. I'm nervous. 6 airplane rides. Like, Lord, she hasn't been on a plane before. What am I going to say? I got to say nice things. Is the packing going okay, honey? I'm nervous as I don't know what. I go downstairs, I look, she's got 1 tear in her eye. I'm thinking, what in the world can I do? I said, what's wrong, baby? She goes, I'm always praying, will God hear me in Spain, Mom? I was like, whoa, what an easy question. Yes, he will. So I'm glad they both knew God before they left out the house. And that's one of the things that I have a pet peeve, and parents need to know that their children need to know the Lord before they go out the house.
Amen.
They need to, before they go, they got to deal with school, they got to deal with friends, they got to deal with bullies, they got to deal with coaches. They have so many things to do. And they have to wonder, what are they going to do if they go to school and they have to come home upset because one of their friends' grandmothers got shot going to the grocery store. What kind of foundation do they have? What kind of foundation do they have if you are in a mood or sad and you got your door closed and they don't know how to pray for you? They need to know God before they go out the house.
Amen.
And that's such a necessary thing. And I think when you were speaking of our younger moms, I believe that it is just something that we can do. We can do it. Just take one time. And even if the children are not in the house anymore, you can still say, hey, baby, I got 20 for you. Look, here's a message for you. Look, whatever, however way we got to do it, but we have to get, they need to know God on this journey because it's rough out here. We can see it right here in Akron, let alone all over the world. So it's amazing. So we went ahead and went on to school, speaking up times. I went through my bachelor's degree, went through the master's degree, almost through the master's degree. I got finished with the bachelor's degree, and I had an advisor. When I was doing my bachelor's degree, she goes, oh, you're just doing wonderful. Here you are, a single parent, African-American woman. You go for it. This is beautiful. Congratulations. That was nice, but then I said, I'm getting ready to go to my master's degree. She goes, what you going for your master's degree for? don't you have to work? I says, well, I work, and how can you do all that and work and go for your master's degree? I think you shouldn't be going for your master's degree. Well, that's not going to happen. I'm going to go anyway. I said, thank you anyway. So she tried to cause me problems verbally and on paper while I was working on that master's degree. And I ended up having to get a hysterectomy during that time. Told my kids, you're not going to have any more brothers and sisters, but we're okay. And I had I had three credits before I was to graduate with my master's degree. 3. And I had to have my hysterectomy, and I had to get incomplete so I could complete that. She called me and she goes, at my job, where I was a case manager of 40 mentally ill clients, she called me at my job and said, I've been to Finland and back, and you're still not finished with that project? I think you should quit college. Just quit. You've got too much on your plate. Well, that was negative to me, and my mouth got going in a nice way, but I said, before you walk into your office on campus, you have to pass my name because I got outstanding award for the college. You have to pass my name before you go to before you go to your office. So why are you telling me to quit? So that got kind of quiet, and then next you know, she's like, congratulations, as I got through that. So it's just a thing of people in workplaces can be adult bullies. I mean, they can do that. People in church can hurt you. And people church hurt. No, we knew what church hurt was a long time ago before they gave it a title. Okay? And, people not wanting to give up their position to share and teach someone else. So that happens in church. It happens in the, that's just the refrigerator. It happens in the churches, it happens in the work, it happens in all the community, and it happens in families. It's not just male and female verbal abuse. There are parents that are being abused by children that are caretakers and probably are totally worn out and don't have any help, but still they may be doing that verbal abuse to them. There's verbal abuse in assisted living areas where individuals are being taken care of. These young people are dating. There's verbal abuse. These kids are texting and hurting people. When I worked at Kent State University of Akron, people were coming into the counseling department because they were getting horrible things, just horrible. And so it's so many different ways that just not touching, not even a touch of a person. It's just the verbal abuse is a big problem. I was in my master's program. I worked on my project for finishing up was focused on domestic violence in the workplace, and it's like this woman calls me and tells me to come over. Look at there, and look at you. And it was all about. It happened because there was a woman in the Starr County area who had been abused, and her husband ended up killing her on one of the expressways. And that just held on to me because my sisters went to college with her high school with her older sisters, and he just shot and killed her. But he was stalking her at work, and so that's a lot when someone is getting calls at work. They can't get the work done. The health insurance is messed up because they're having too many appointments. Or the verbal part is if they do get a diagnosis, that's not really you. You don't need to go to the doctor. So all that verbal stuff, without even putting a hand on a woman or a hand on anybody in that individual situation, is bad. So several years ago, I was thinking there's a woman somewhere that has not even been touched but is hurting. Not touched physically, but that emotional connection. She's hurting. And so I created Sabrina. And this is Sabrina's first time in public, and I'd like to introduce you to her. It's been about 10 years, and I decided to make a big picture of her and draw her for you. This is Sabrina. Sabrina is hurt. Sabrina's crying. We don't know why. Those bruises, they aren't even physical. Because with emotional abuse, you can have those migraines, your neck hurting, your back hurting, you hurt. Your heart is hurting. And Sabrina is a lot of what we talk about. So there's a lot of things that people say, and I put these speech balloons on each table, and if you could pass those out, I want you to just, if you want to call them out, you can, but I'd love for you to write them down, just different things that you believe that people say that could be hurtful. Just come out of their mouth. kind of started off with a few of those examples of the things people say that are hurtful. One example in church. Did you come to that program? Well, why weren't you at my program? You were supposed to be at the program. It was at 3 o'clock last week. Well, I had something else to do. Well, God sent you here first. They're going to speak for God. So that's the church thing. But unfortunately, with the verbal abuse, when I lived in Kent as a single parent, I experienced seeing a lot of verbal abuse from women that were also single moms. And they're don't eat any food until I eat my food. And so they're not feeding their children because the boyfriend has to eat first. And that's really not new, but it might be a wake-up call to somebody that's listening. Feed your children. Feed your children. In my dating times, in that time when I was single and dating, there was a guy that I was dating, and you pretty much had to bow and do whatever to even meet my children, okay? But he seemed to be kind, and he came over one day, and he just walked in, just relaxed as he normally did, and he opened the refrigerator, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I was just getting something out the refrigerator." "Did you bring some groceries in here?" His mouth going, speak again, right? "Well, what are you talking about?" I said, "Did you bring some groceries in here?" He goes, "Well, no." "Did you guys go sign up for food stamps or something? And bring pretty colored books we used to get? Did you sign up for food stamps?" "No." "Well, then don't you ever go in the refrigerator unless you are invited to go into the refrigerator." So that mouth again, but it helped me not to put up with things. I just didn't want to put up with things like that. But there were women who, unfortunately, took advantage of wanting to maybe get their bills paid, and their children went without, or they chose their children over, they chose their mate or the person in their relationship they were in over their children. I spent over 20 years working at one of the shelters in the area, so I saw girls 11 to 17 for almost 20 years, having direct care with them and doing volunteer coordinator programming. Those children, that was another kind of mothering, that I spent time mothering those children. And sometimes the children were there and it wasn't their fault. Sometimes it was there because the mom chose the boyfriend over the teenager. And, she got to go. There was an African-American girl, I remember, she was 14, a saxophone player, jazz queen over there. That saxophone player, 4 Point. She came up to the shelter with a 30-gallon garbage bag full of this young girl's clothes and the saxophone and said, "I got to live my life now." And she dumped it off and peeled off the parking lot. And that was one out of many. Dropping their children off, making a choice. Probably because somebody verbally said something that if I can't have you the way I want to have you, I'm out of here. Or somebody else might want me. Other women, I would hear things like, "Do you like that microwave?" "Well, honey, sure I do." "Well, if you don't, I know somebody else that will." Just stuff. And that's not new. But why should we have to take that? And so it is a practice, and it does take practice to love yourself. And I want you all to write some of those things or share some things with me right now on, maybe things you've heard or experienced verbally that someone has said that hasn't been kind. And how did you react to it?
You want us to put it on here, right?
You can put it on there, you can speak it out, put it on there and speak it out.
You're not good enough.
I'm sorry?
You're not good enough.
You're not good enough. Okay. You're not good enough, yeah.
You won't mount to anything.
You won't mount to anything. Anything, like nothing. Won't mount to anything.
What about, I understand they don't make organizations.
I'm sorry?
Girl, I understand you.
Oh.
I just saw what they say that he's the person that they're complaining to, don't really know the real issue.
That's true. That's true. Don't really understand.
They say it though, but
yes.
They say it to come to the person at the time.
I hear you. And we do use things that we try to be a support for individuals. And you try to help them learn hopefully how to understand themselves and be okay with themselves. And but you're not agreeing with them, but you're really wanting to just say, I understand, but do we really understand?
Right.
Do you really understand what's going on? Because are they really telling you the whole story? Are they really telling you the whole story? Anyone else?
I remember one that stood out of my mind in my past. If it's up to me, you'll never go back to school. So then, you have little situations where they plot and plot and plot and plot so that you cannot continue.
Yes.
And I think, and I realized I didn't understand it exactly because I was going to do what I want to do anyway. But when I did graduate, I did see that my mother rented a car, and because it was my treat in my graduation,
Sure.
and I couldn't find my driver's license or my keys, and I was like, oh my God. So I went through all this craziness. Went to the dealership, had to go and pay for another car keys to be made, and so forth. So about a year later, I had to move. And I don't know what made me look at this. I'm looking at pictures in the picture frame, taking things down, packing up, And when I pulled the picture frame out, for some reason it slipped down. I pulled out and said, readjust this picture. And my driver's license came out. So, enemy's something else.
Enemies is something else.
Something else.
Yeah.
So, those kind of things stick with you.
It does.
Those things stick with you. And then the other thing that really stuck with me is that I had somebody, when we were, you get bullied when you're going to school and stuff, I used to get bullied for weight and things. And I wasn't even half the size I am now, So, meanwhile, we had a neighbor that used to always make fun and call names. So this one particular day, I wasn't feeling it. And normally I just keep my mouth shut. But, my father and mother in the car waiting and everything, and my sisters, so we had to go to dinner. Well, I don't like dinners. And I was nervous, and I was all going through all kind of craziness, And the girl came and sat on the neighbors across the street on the grass and started calling me fat names, And, I think I just about had it. When you know when you had it.
Yes. Yes.
And I know my parents are there. I know they're there, and I know what I'm not supposed to say. And I know I've never done that again. But I told her to go to ATIL, and I screamed across the street.
There you go.
I screamed as loud as I could across the street, walked down the steps, got in the car, no one never said nothing to me. My father, my parents never said anything to me. Because if I hadn't said it, I'm sure my mother would have. Yeah. And more. Yeah. So, you already said, your limit. You got to know who you're also dealing with.
You do.
And what they're capable of.
That's true.
So that's, you never know what they're capable of.
It's
true.
true.
You gotta feel them out a little bit too, and see how far they actually will go. So that's what stood out of my mind, ladies.
Yeah, the thing that stood out in mind is that it's verbal abuse, and things lead up to that. And I know that with the world of marijuana and my studies, and they always say marijuana is the gateway to all the other drugs. You start with marijuana, you're gonna keep going. Well, if you let that lip go, if you don't speak up, it can go further. And that's the gate right there for me, the gate. Because one flinch, you don't know what you're talking about, One flinch, then it could continue on, it could become physical. It could become physical with the threats. The threats, I'll do this to you, or I'll shoot you. I was at a workshop I think it was from the prosecutor's office here several years ago, and she had 200 files on her jump drive of the videos, the audios from prison. You knew you were getting taped. And you hear this woman answer the phone, hello, because she's accepted it, of course.
Of course.
Why didn't you answer the phone yesterday when I called? Well, I just still, from a distance. That's how deep emotional abuse is from a distance, wherever he was, whatever county he was in. And she's saying, well, I didn't mean. He goes, I should have killed you while I was out. No, he going to court. And he didn't even finish there. He belittled her even more than that. He said, hey, you guys want somebody stupid? She's on the phone. You want to share this call? Verbal abuse. Took her somewhere else again. So why? Another thing that I think that is verbal abuse is, and this is me going on and going on. It's not Planned Parenthood, but usually the places where, well, it could be Planned Parenthood, where they support abortions and they practice abortions. You know, they will offer them. And you have individuals standing outside with the signs with the broken baby bones and, you know, God's going to kill you and whatever they want to have on their sign. Well, I usually make a U-turn with this mouth. And I'm like, you know, would Jesus do it that way? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, you know, I don't agree with abortion. I mean, I don't agree with that. But you don't know what someone's going through. Could you just at least talk to them first and tell them maybe you got another choice? Maybe you could adopt the baby. Could you, you know, maybe you could make some support in the community for you. Does that person know that, or are you just going to scream and verbally hurt them and maybe take them back? Especially if there's somebody driving and they hadn't had an abortion, you're taking them back.
That's right.
You're taking them back. Just with that honking of the horn and putting that sign up, you're taking them back to somewhere that they probably were mentally crushed. Because all of us need something when there's something that's going on in our life and there's an after effect. Everybody needs a support, no matter what they are. And what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to love anyway. However it is, because no one woke up on, I remember Obama had said it one time, nobody wakes up on Tuesday and say, I want to have an abortion. So there's something going on that needs to get under the root of it. And then hopefully people can pray and make sure we can take care of all the babies that are born, whether they're with their biological parents or someone else, that they can be taken care of. But that verbal hurt can go so further than the male-female relationship, or, you know, the whatever other kind of relationships people, especially these young people, are getting just so hurt in these relationships. There's so much control in just a word. I was subbing several years ago before I finished up my last degree in Cuyahoga Falls School, and I saw this brother student, you know, it was only about 8, but brother student, walking up to this girl, and he punched her in the arm. And she said, stop it. He punched her again. And I was like, hey you! Because most of the other teachers like, well, we don't get into anything anymore. Hey, you want a case? What are you doing that for? He goes, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you put your hands on her. So when I get back to the shelter and talk to the teenage girls that know everything, I said, that's what happened. He goes, they told me, oh, that means he likes her. So he punched her in her arm, and that was meaning he wanted to get with her. So that's that kind of communication. No words, just a punch. And those were high school students. So there's so much going on with that. So anyway, we've got those voices, those speech balloons there of things that were not even touched, and you get that word that hurts, that can last from something from 1978. Something that someone heard. You hear about the Hatfields and the McCoys. No. People don't get together for family reunions. People don't get together over the holidays. I haven't seen my family in 3 years now. I haven't seen them in 12 years. Why? Maybe because of something they said. They didn't even put their hands on it. Another avenue of verbal abuse to me is indirect, layered verbal abuse. What if you're hurting because someone else hurt somebody else? You're hurting because someone did to someone else. Someone said something harsh to another person. Ain't told you nothing. Didn't talk to you, didn't say anything to you, but it hurt someone that you care for and you love. That is a lot. That can cause stress. That can cause depression. That can cause some migraines. That can cause your stomach bother you. And just because someone else was hurt, it can make you be up sleepless nights. So there's so many ways of avenues just without someone putting a hand on somebody that can hurt so badly. Well, what I'm thinking of here is that there's a scripture that, you know, people talk about the scripture and we know about that scripture. Yeah, no, it got it, been there, done that. Jeremiah 29:11. We'd be like, Lord, have mercy. We've got necklaces and t-shirts and hats and everything like that. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Wow, that's amazing. But it's not by itself. You got to go all the way back. We just can't live on one scripture. God's got a whole Bible, and he explains it all so thoroughly. So the folk where he wrote it for back then, that was necessary, but it was necessary for them to realize everything's not going to be sugar and cream. You're not going to not go through something, but you're going to get through it, and I'm going to be here with you.
Yes. And
that's the same way with, I appreciate the group here. You're supported. You don't know all the answers. You may not be available on Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but you're still going through it with the individuals that come for your services. You're still here. And so God allows that, and that's what that scripture is all about, realizing that there's still hope. He wants hope for you. You might have to go through something. I know one of the senior members at my church would say, you don't look like what you've been through. Somebody's going to do a praise dance. Look at that side. But guess what? What if I do look like what I've been through? What if I do? And if I do, I still got through. So then that's a freedom right there. Because some people try to make up and try to think that, and cover up and think that, no, I've been through it. I've got a story. I've got a journey. And thank goodness, I will not be ashamed of what God got me through.
Amen.
Okay? We will not be ashamed of it. So if I don't look like what you might think I'm supposed to be looking like by now, it's okay. Because God's got this. And he did not leave. He promised not to leave.
Yes.
He does not want us to have any harm. He doesn't want us to have any verbal harm. I know, just like the old song by Hezekiah Walker. Hezekiah Walker, there you go. I pray for you. You pray for me. I won't bring words of harm out my mouth. Ooh, that just comes up and it's so necessary, because it's so easy for us to have one thing out. We do need to stop before we speak. You know.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I agree with her. She said, "What did you? I do look like what I've been through, and that's the testimony right there." So that I agree. Thank you so much. That makes so much sense, and it's necessary. So I think what happens is, the great thing is, like, we need support, and I believe we need a tribe. And I borrowed that from my daughter-in-law. She says, when you get a tribe, she's a licensed therapist up in Illinois. She goes, when you get a tribe, love them hard. And I think about, we all need a tribe. Don't need to be 19 people. It can just be a few, but you need a tribe. You need someone to listen to you, that you can listen to them. It's mutual. Y'all can love up on each other, check on each other. You need a tribe. Now, some women, and I know everybody knows one, I don't want no woman friends.
Oh,
Okay, I want woman friends. Why? Because your ex whatever ended up with somebody you like. Just stop all that.
Or we talk too much.
We talk too much. Yeah, we talk too much. And I like you when you said that. A guy told me one time, you talk too much. You talk too much and you think too much. And you're a holy roller too. So those were verbal too. But I told him, I said, okay, this was probably 30-some years ago. I said, okay, when I write my first book, when you're not in the acknowledgments, you're going to see how much I talk. See, I still had that mouth going. But it's true. They, people, they really hurt people when they say things like that. They have no clue that they hurt people. So about a week after he said, you think too much, I was walking actually through Barnes & Noble's, had gotten a gift card. I'm walking through, and out of the blue, I'm going to tell you, ladies, I saw a book that said, women who think too much. Don't you think I just bought? I bought it immediately. I didn't want to mail it to me. I need to get this now, because this man had told me this. And it said that women who think too much, of course we think too much. But back in the 50s and 60s, we didn't have to think that much. Because, you know, you were going to be a teacher or a nurse or stay at home or work on a farm or wait for your husband to come back from the military. You had it set up. Your goals were set already. But boy, has things changed.
Mm-hmm, right.
Women have had to think. They're not staying married in any crazy situation. They're not getting married at all. They're having children later. They're deciding to be an architect or a construction worker versus a nurse or a doctor. They have to think a lot. So I'm like, I couldn't wait to run my mouth again to let them know. Guess what the book said? But yeah, women who think too much. So it's some of those things that are hurt, you know, that hurt you. And I think that buffer, God gives you a buffer when you get closer to Him, that it doesn't hurt like that. He gets you because He's the answer to everything. So that it doesn't bam like it did before. Like, oh man, 20 years ago that would have been like for me. You know, I remember when I got called into the ministry. I got called into the ministry. I told someone, what are we supposed to do about that? Well, you're not supposed to do anything, but you know, I got the work to do. But just the words of not accepting or hard, or I don't think you should go to that church. What's that? You know, what's that preacher saying? Now I learned a long time ago that women shouldn't be running church, going home and saying, "Oh, pastor, there's a pastor. Oh my God, pastor." No, you don't do that when you're married and you know you're supposed to be in love. But because he'll get all messed up. But the thing is, you can still honor your pastor, but you know you don't do that. But yeah, but sometimes that verbal will make people do some stuff. Woo! It'll make them do it. So yeah, but I need you to survive. We do. And the other part of this little area, how am I doing on my time for you?
Well, you know, you're just fine.
Okay, am I just fine? I bought a record for you all,
Okay.
and it is broke. So, but don't think I wasn't going to bring my Isaac Hayes. Y'all weren't going to see. You were not going to bring. I wasn't going to bring Teddy Pendergrass.
Oh, shoot. Nice.
And I wasn't going to bring Nikki Howard's Love Under New Management. Right? I just brought one that had chipped, and I have a studio, so it's kind of on the wall. So I wanted to share that with you. But what I have for you is records for yourselves to take with you. And this is where your markers will come in. Your markers will come in. These are broken records because I just feel like when people are going through things, they need to scratch the record, break it up sometimes. They can break up okay, thank you. You just need to break things up a little bit. And that's the only way you get out of the survival mode, which is not healthy. So Sabrina here is in the survival mode. She's still hurting, she's still aching, she's stuck, she's froze. That it like, no, I can't go here, I can't do this. You know, she's thinking she's doing some kind of protection. Like I better not do that, I better not say nothing, I better not tell nobody about this, I'll be safe. She's in the survival mode that's not healthy. So it needs to be broken. Sometimes we need to scratch and break our stories up to get new stories. And I always think of that because, you know, when I was first as a single mother, and I remember signing up for food stamps, the woman that was behind the desk said, "Oh, so you ain't with your husband no more." Oh, what did he do, leave you? And I didn't say, oh, that time did you? I needed that pretty color book, so I didn't say nothing. But the thing is, like, you don't know me, you know. But they assume, and then they verbally say something that was very disrespectful. Do not know my story. So because of that, we always realize that we can change our stories. We can adjust our stories and move on, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whatever's going on, we can change that. So this is the broken record for you. Okay, so you can look on there, and this is where the markers will come in, just as a personal thing. We got to trust God, first of all. We got to trust God. If we don't trust Him, we got to learn how to trust Him. We got to talk. We got to have a tribe together so we can talk. And everybody's at different levels, so and everybody continuously needs to keep learning. And so we all need to learn about that faith thing and to be able to trust God. We trust that Beyonce's concert is going to be $800 and she's going to be in Cleveland. We trust that, okay? So why can't we trust the Lord? Okay, and she's like, what? So, you know, so we trust in the wrong thing sometimes.
That's right.
That's true. We're trusting the wrong thing. So with the record, you can mark on your paper. There's 6 different little broken up things here. And I have 6 things up here that I believe that will really help with the healing, putting a Band-Aid on things, and refreshing. And when you have that broken record, to start over fresh and to start the healing from a lot of the verbal abuse, the things that stay in our mind for 10, 15, 20 years, and you're hurting. And it will affect you physically and mentally. It's not, there's no other option. But because it'll be a Sabrina thing, she'll be in survival mode forever and thinking, gee, I'm Superwoman, I got this. Not until the next thing comes up, something else come up, the wrong phone call, the wrong newspaper clipping, somebody from the family reunion that needs a secret. Okay, so that Sabrina mode won't say, it's not healthy anyway. So we know we have to trust God. We have to listen. We have to listen to God. That means we need to get in the book, because it's in there. It makes it so convenient now. We have the internet. We've got, you don't want to open the paper Bible, you can get it on your phone. You can get a podcast. You can go to a Bible study. There's so many. He's so amazing. And he frees it up for us to listen to him, to listen to his word. God has given us mothers. We have some now, some are grieving, some are going through, but we've had some memories. Some have to make up, some got to say, I'm sorry. Whatever it is, even if it comes in a dream, let it get some good rest. Okay, get some good rest. So with listening, we listen to God's word, and we have to listen to that tribe. I'm not even saying that you don't need a tribe. We need a tribe. We need someone to check on us. We need someone to bring the word to us. We need someone to send us a text of a scripture or something. We need that connection. And so we do need to listen. Excuse me. We need to listen to ourselves. And we need to listen to what's really being said. Now, when someone's verbally abusing someone, what are they really saying? What's wrong with them? What's going on with them?
Right.
Yes, what's going on in their life that they are not working on? That they got to come at you like that. Have you ever, and I'm going to say this, have you ever, somebody's yeah, and you don't even hear it anymore? I see a whole lot of those. I think of it as like rolling up a car door window. Somebody outside the car door window. And that's pretty much what it is. I have, as my oldest sister Brenda would say, I have checked them out. Yes.
I'll truly say that in our society now, they are so hypocritical and so vicious of how, and malicious of how they try to describe a person. You can be the best person in the world. You could be done fed somebody. You could be done gave some money. You could be done bought pampers, diapers, and everything else for their baby, because you trying to save that baby from going to CSB. You could have babysat that baby, but having an accident, they chewing you up like they're shitting you out. That's the problem. Or they done took who you are, and you might have been that person coming from a good heart, because you are that person, protector over everybody and everybody's loved ones, because that's who you are. And soon as an accident or incident happens, they're like crows chewing on your bones.
So I agree with you, and I agree that some people feed on that. They don't have anything else going on in their life, and they can't wait they're waiting with popcorn for something.
Girl!
They're waiting for buttered popcorn.
Yes!
They're waiting for buttered popcorn for something to happen so they can say, I told you. I told you that wasn't going to work.
And people are speaking out, people can speak out of turn over somebody else's issue, but until you walk in their shoes, and you better watch what you say, because your shoes might fit a lot tighter when it comes back on. That's why you better watch, because we do have a beautiful God. He's a loving God, and we trust in God, but you better watch speaking over God's children.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That's so true, because he is going to protect his anointed.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen. He's going to protect them no matter if people can. It's almost like you thought you was getting in.
Right.
You thought you was getting in her heart.
Or what?
And you weren't going to get it.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree. I thank you for that. Thank you. So we're listening. We have to listen to God's word. Listen to that tribe. They mean well for you. Okay? we already know we got to speak up. We have to speak up. We have to. And it's not putting anybody in harm's way, but it comes from valuing yourself. You got to look in the mirror and value yourself and say, I'm worth this, you know. And, someone asked me many years ago, and I'll never forget, what's your value? Not, what are you bringing to the table and all that mess. What's your value? And it's like, I had to think about that. Well, I'm not trying to be Medea with a calculator, but it's like, what's your value? And how do you feel about yourself? That self-esteem, can I forgive myself? Okay? Because we're looking at here, another word is give. We do need to give. We need to give. As I said, I know that there's many giving people here, and it's just to give of yourself. Give, as you need to. But before that, we do need to forgive. We have to forgive. And it's not always easy, especially when it was something from 1978. But we have to forgive, and we do have to turn around and forgive ourselves. And if anyone has been through one of the situations where it's physical, mental, emotional, verbal, you got to forgive yourself and say, man, I should have even let that person do. I should have left 20 years ago.
Right.
Because I just met someone after you had invited me to come. I was in Giant when I met a lady. She said, hi, because we tell everybody. Hi, she goes, I just moved here. I just left my marriage for 32 years. I said, 32? She said, 32 years. He hurt me, and my daughter got me out, and now I'm in a metropolitan housing apartment. And she's going to help me pay my rent. I says, okay. And she goes, I said, well, it looks like some beautiful things are going to happen. She goes, I hope so. She was still there, and I just had to give her some word real quick. Because it's like, hope came out. Yeah, hope is there. God gives you hope. You don't have to do it yourself. And that's another thing with the strength. We can't do it on our own. There's no way we can do this on our own. We do need the strength of God. And yes.
I totally agree. And that lady you're speaking of, she was into voices.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's amazing news information. Wow. So when we speak up, we have to speak up. We do have to love. And God gives us so many different ways to love. I have my son, when he went down there and left and made me cry for 3 days to go to North Carolina College. He went down there and became a biologist. And he did brain cell cancer research. He did, when he went to Illinois, he did West Nile virus. He's still doing West Nile virus research. But he went down there, got published before he went across the stage. All of that, he met a young lady that had 3 children. And he said, Mom, look at her. She's divorced. That's what I want. So he found a divorced woman with 3 children. And now they have 6 altogether.
Oh, God is so good.
They've been together probably for about 20 years now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's good.
When I wrote on mine, when I was dating someone that was verbally abusive, he said, nobody's going to want you with those 2 kids. And I had 2, because even before him, it was a man from Jamaica. He said, my brother told me one is okay, but if you got 2, that's trouble. And so he didn't want me even. So, and as you're talking about the, your son, that was a blessing, because a lot of times women, they don't choose that, it happens. Life happens.
You get to meet them in their appearance.
Yeah. So that was a blessing.
I'm just going to piggyback, and my son said something to me, and because we never discussed, him marrying someone with a child. We never discussed it because I just never thought it was happening. It's just one of those things. Just never discussed it, and he accidentally found out. And then as time went on, we talked. It was their soulmates, and he told me one thing that stood out of my mind. He said, that's my child too, because that's part of mine.
Oh, I see.
And that immediately, as soon as they got married, they started filing for adoption.
Okay.
So that's something, that's when you know it's for real.
It's
And
for
that
real.
person loves you and
Yes.
loves whatever baggage you have that comes
Yes,
with
That's
yes. Beautiful. I know with my my son, well, my son has, I said, they're raising all of them together. And one year, my son called the older children's dad down in North Carolina and said, I'm with your babies all year. I want to fly them down for Father's Day. And he flew them all down, plus the other, all of them went. I said, and I'm like, they all fly down. Thursday nights, they always call me, you know. So I get this area code, North Carolina area code on the phone. It was the older children's dad saying, I know that you always talk to the grandbabies, and I want you to talk to them. And I was like, Happy Father's Day. And then he also told my son, when Corinne, one of the older ones, he said, when Corinne goes down the aisle, you better be right there with me because we have done everything. So it works itself out. But that's communication and getting through whatever you got to get through to see what is the real thing. Is it really about love? And love, I mean, the generations that we are teaching, you know, from the love that if we show our children and grandchildren what to do, it can continue.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it's not going to continue. We already see how many young people don't go to church anymore.
Yeah.
We already see how many 29-year-old mothers won't take their children to school anymore. I mean, to church anymore. We already know that. It used to be no thing. It was time to go to church.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't want to go to church. Or we have soccer practice on Sunday.
Right.
So it's just taking that away. But it's like, okay, there's still options. But they need to know who it is. So we looked at listening, speak up, love, and giving, and caring. We have to care for people.
Yeah.
We have to care for people, and that's part of the healing as well. So we have to care for people. We have to care for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's something, the self-care, well, it should have been going on. And sometimes I was listening to someone who came on my website, on my Facebook, and said, I should have cared for myself a little bit more 20 years ago. Because I was split myself up so much that I wasn't thinking about me.
Right.
And now I got to deal with this. You know, whether it's mental, emotional, whatever. Yes.
And sometimes, I don't mean to speak, I
No,
don't mean to
please.
speak that much, but sometimes when you get divided like you were and helping everybody else, and it takes away from you, maybe you don't want to face some real facts about you.
That's true. That's true. On purpose.
Because I've gone through that, didn't realize what I was going through and how busy I was staying because I didn't want to go home to what I had to go home to
Okay,
face the
okay.
facts.
Okay.
So sometimes you stay busy for a reason.
Busy, yes.
Yes.
So busy.
Yes,
Don't
yes.
know what you're doing.
Right.
I agree. But yeah, so the caring is a thing where it can come through the generations. I know with the children, sometimes, you know, in churches, we volunteer to kids. I remember in the church I lived when I was in Kent, the piano player, when she was 13, the pastor told her mom, we need a piano player. She goes, she taking lessons. She was a piano player there for at least 70 years. 70 years. 70. Yeah, 70 years after taking classes. So we used to volunteer our children for things. And so I remember there was something going on in one of the apartment complexes I lived in, and something happened with the family, and I didn't even explain it. I just told the kids, here, take this to them. They need something. And so I knew that would just continue. I didn't have to go into detail, but they learned how to care. They learned how to care and do things. So when my son they had a hurricane down in North Carolina, he was up there helping the Red Cross set up the carts and giving them the people water. They know how to do things because they get that from before they get out of the house.
Right.
They need to do that. And so whoever kidnaps the grandchildren, y'all got a chance to go ahead and whatever it is to get that message out to them. So when we look at this, another part of the broken thing that we can put back together is sharing. We have to share. We have to share ourselves. We have to share things with people. If they need something, we split it. If we, and the thing is, all the giving, when you give and you share and you care, it's going to come back and bless you so much. So much. And it doesn't even have to have your name on it. Don't have to have your name on it. And so all those things, and when we can focus on those things, all that other Sabrina stuff can get dissolved away. Because we're not busy doing stuff just to be busy, but we're caring for ourselves, we're caring for others, we're sharing, we're giving, we're loving, we're trying to get that word that can cover our whole life, so that the other things he said go to him. Take it all to him. Take it all. We don't need these burdens. We don't need them. Like what for what? Yes. Okay. Anything else? Anybody thinking of? But yeah, use these and realize like this is a brand new record I'm putting together, and it's going to use these things, and we're going to trust God, and we're going to go ahead and see different ways that I can give, different ways I can share. How am I caring? Have I done that lately? Because we can get caught up. And once we can takes ourselves out, I used to work with the girls at the shelter. I would give them opportunities to do things because I said, sometimes you have to take our mind off our own issues.
Right.
So that we can help others. And it'll come back, and before you know it, and writing in a journal always helps.
Yeah.
Writing your prayers down always helps. Write those prayers down, you date it, go back, hallelujah. And there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Any thoughts or questions on anything?
I have a thought.
Yes.
When a person's going through something, and somebody would say, I hear it all the time, and you might say, girl, you crazy. When you speak the truth, they not crazy, but they don't want to get the truth, and that is the truth. And they'll be discussing the lights out, girl, you crazy, and it's the truth. Have you experienced that before?
I've experienced that before, and I said, well, I'll just be that kind of crazy today. I mean, it's like if we can't get in the mind of other people. We can try, but we can't get in the mind of them. So I can go ahead and wish them well. But if I'm timid, this is the situation I'm talking about it, and I know it's real. I'm going to communicate about it, and I'm going to have to deal with that. That may not be the person that is, but there will be a person. That may not be the person that will respond to you in that way, but there will be a person. God will send someone to hear exactly what you needed to hear.
Anyone else have anything you'd like to say? Thank you, Claire.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
And, I just wanted to say one thing. I've been reaching out to other organizations in our community to share what we do about our awareness. And just because we do domestic violence and another organization does domestic violence doesn't mean that we all are channeling into the same area. We are about awareness. We're not about shelter or anything like that. That's why you have hope and healing. But someone said to me, an organization that was I just wanted to let them know what we do. And that's it. But since I have the opportunity, I want to share this part. She said to me, we deal with hope and healing. We don't let anybody come here that's going through domestic violence, and we're trying to keep our clients safe. We don't want, but she didn't understand. We are not a shelter. We're not trying to bring harm to anyone. You have to realize when people go into organizations and need help in certain areas, maybe they have a continual hurt. That hurt can come from like the 70s. That hurt can come from the 80s. It could come from anything. Sometimes you can be sitting there and all of a sudden have a blast from your past of some hurt that's come to you. And then sometimes they don't have anywhere or anyone they can talk to. So we're here to support you when you're going through domestic violence. When you're going through things, maybe you're done with it, maybe you're not. But we're here to support you. And maybe you're also there to make you aware that you have been going through domestic violence because there's so many facets of it. So I just want to let that lady know, the people that you're in there with and the clients that you're taking care of, those people are going through a hurt from deep down inside. And they might not be going through it right now, but sometime take a chance. Turn on our virtual meetings and let them listen and let them know that we are here to help them. Power Dreams, Sisters Helping Sisters, Ministries. And that's what I wanted to say, because I had to say that today.
Yes.
Because there's so much stuff that's going on. And that organization has a lot of young people that they need to reach out to. So I just need to let them know that who we are and what we can do to help them. And it's not all about the shelter. So that, yes, Brian.
Sometimes they think it's competition, it's not a competition.
Oh, that's also. I've heard that too. Thinking other organizations are competing against others. We don't compete. We just complete. Did you hear what I said?
Yes,
We
yes.
don't compete, we just complete. And that's what we're supposed to do. Nancy, you gonna say something?
I love this, and I think this can be used universal, even with children, because there is a lot of broken people.
Yes, there is.
There is a lot of hurt. Everybody's might be different.
Yes.
And I think this can be used as a tool for a little bit of everybody. I love it.
Not get my Isaac Hayes.
No.
Ain't nothing like that.
That's wonderful. There was a lady that I saw that she said she had gotten banned from a shelter.
Oh, that can
Banned
happen.
from a shelter.
That can happen. Yeah, and sometimes I've seen it where that abuser may find out where they're living and so forth and cause some harm. And it might not be just one time. It might be more than one time. I've seen that happen. But then he ended up finding them anyway. And he picked one particular lady and she ended up being killed. You know, and just everything's for a reason. You know. But I do want
Thank
to
you for explaining that for the virtual world to know.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes, definitely. And but I do want to. I did first of all, you know, when I spoke earlier, I just wanted the virtual audience because I'm speaking to you because these ladies they've been with us for a while, and but I just wanted you to know that. Oh my goodness, what I got off track, didn't I? That we need to reach out to our young ladies. We have to reach out to the young. I mean, you know, they might be embarrassed or wherever it may be. And some of these abusers, these young men in the high schools and stuff, they put fear into these young ladies early. My son had told me a long time ago, this one young man, he kept hurting this one young lady constantly, physically, you know, in front of people. One day he asked her for something, it was in the cafeteria, sit on the table and kicked her in the face.
Oh.
And, you know, and she came back to him anyway. So all that type of fear, because she didn't love who she was. Love yourself first. But I just also wanted to let you know, because Cherish, Woman of God has made you, and this is a support group for domestic violence. And I just want to let you know that the ladies that are behind this group is Nancy Jacobs, our co-chair, and Carla Cordes. So I just need you guys to see the faces behind what we do. And so I just had to say those things, you know.
Yeah.
And we want to thank you. I'm going to give you a little something for being here with us. And Carla.
Do you want to sit or stand? Picture.
Spoke up now, so. I can stand up. Thank y'all.
Thank
This is
you.
so pretty.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Look at this. Oh, thank you so much. I'll get in the picture now.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, now. Bear with me, that lady.
So pretty.
Okay, lady. Oh, okay. Thank you, guys. Okay. Want to do one more? Okay, thank you so much.
You, look at this.
Everyone have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful evening. And remember some of the things that we said, that you take those away with you. I also want to make sure that we do have some meetings that are coming up next. The next Cherish meeting will not be until, we're not doing June, but we're going to do July. So we are going to do July 12th. We're going to be here in the same room in Vernon Odom. Our guest speaker will be Yana Moyer. She has a book out about narcissism, and just came out in December. And so we will be listening to her words of advice, as well as she's going down her journey right now, and it's very fresh right now. So I thank you for that. Also, in June, we have our Women's Forum that's coming up. And we also, and that's on the 14th, and I believe on June 28th, we have our first
male panel coming out, the Everyday Brother panel, is going to be at the Maple Valley. So men, come out, because I know there's been some abusers, some abusers or abusers, and I know that you are sorry. So our topic is, I'm sorry. So thank you. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And if you can, we are a nonprofit, and everybody can give $1, I appreciate that. It's all for operations.
There's only like some other people who
Let's see, I got a bachelor's, community health education, master's,
Okay, good.
management, health education.
I want to take a nap. You know that?
Are we gonna take
But I got a babysit.
Are we taking a group picture?
Oh yeah, take a quick picture. I'm sorry.
Okay, while you're doing that,
Okay.
Michelle,
Let me go and
Pick out some.